Well, here's another angle to the ongoing power cuts. Health experts are now warning that children's nutrition is at risk in light of the quality of food being consumed. Now, children at early childhood centers, schools, and in homes are eating reportedly less fresh food and more fast food due to numerous factors, including limited capacity to store food. Let's get you a sense of how dire the situation is. We're joined this morning by the Executive Director of Grow Great. That's Dr. Edzani Mphaphuli, who joins us via our video link this morning. Doc, it's great to have you with us on the program. This certainly is a new angle we're exploring this morning, but one that communities have been dealing with for some time now. The issue around the quality of food being consumed as a direct result of load shedding.
Yeah, no, definitely. And thank you for having me. And good morning to the listeners. I think, it's multifaceted. And I think that the most relevant example right now of how load shedding is impacting on nutrition is what's happening as we're speaking right now. A parent is not able to watch this show, is not able to listen to radio, and therefore missing out on critical information around child nutrition. But even more devastating than that, parents in South Africa are under intense financial pressure because of the economic impact. So this then influences their food choices. They buy, cheaper, less nutritious food, energy-dense, fat-dense food, and also fast food. And this is not the only way that load shedding impacts on the food choices and quality of food that parents buy. Also, as you know and you've experienced through load shedding, we're not able to buy bulk fresh foods anymore. And therefore, we tend to, if you are middle class, you call Uber, and KFC is probably the cheapest, or any other fast food is probably the cheapest compared to more nutritious food. And for the poor, it's even worse because the quality of the fast food that they can afford is even more unhealthy and no protein content like magwinya and chips. So that's also what is then fed to the child because you can't prepare meals when you've planned to. As you know, as women and mothers, we like to prepare food in bulk and store it in the fridge so that we can feed nutritious meal to our children during the week when we're working. But this is not something that we're able to do anymore. Therefore, children end up eating high energy dense, non-nutritious food and leading to long-term problems like stunting and obesity. Not only when they are children, but that carries on into adulthood. So I think, load shedding is also impacting the country in the long term and the resulting impacts of low nutrition or chronic low nutrition that's resulting from the load shedding is stunting and stunting is really when a child is too short for their height, so they're not growing as they're supposed to at the age that they're supposed to. So if you expect a child to be 50 centimeters at this age, at 6 months, then they're only, 30 centimeters. They're very short for where they're supposed to be. And in general, you'd expect in a society for, in a group of 40 children, only one child to be short. That's normal. But in South Africa, we're finding that in a group of 40 children, under 5, 40, which is 27. So 40 children, 10 children in a group of 40 are too short for their age, and which means they're not growing adequately. And obviously this means that they are denied their full potential because stunting is not only about growth in terms of height, it also impacts the brain. And if me and you had been stunted children, we would never be sitting here because our potential would have been denied our potential to be who we needed to be in society. And that's exactly what load shedding is doing in this country.
Dr. Mphaphuli, it's such an important point because who are these children from today? Who will they be, as you say, in 10, 15, 20 years' time? I want to take the discussion just a little bit back insofar as when children are being affected. And it goes as far back as women who are trying to store breast milk, for example, working mothers who need to store breast milk so that they can feed their babies because of this intermittent electricity supply. It means our fridges are not working optimally. And so we do what we need to then do as a result of that, and we turn to formula. Infants that are compromised because of our inability at times as well to perhaps sterilize bottles and dummies as a result. So when we talk about this impact on children, that's as far back as it goes, right? From when these children are babies.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes even further than that to pregnancy. Obviously, a child, a child's life starts at conception and that's the most critical time in a child's life for them to get all the nutritional benefits from their mother. But load shedding is obviously impacting on the quality of the food that the mother eats, and the child already from the mother's womb is disadvantaged. I mean, we know even with trees, we don't start planting them when they sprout. We start watering the seed when it's still in the ground. And it's the same thing with human beings. If you don't take care during that very critical stage of pregnancy and make sure that mothers have nutrition, then you lose out considerably on the child's ability to reach their full potential, because they're probably going to get born with low birth weight, which is very difficult to correct. And now the child is born. The mother is trying to breastfeed, but she has to go to work. She has to separate from her child, and like you said, she's not able to store the milk. To pump her milk and store it in the fridge because the fridge is not working. And then she decides to buy formula milk, but also she can't afford the formula milk, and she decides, oh well, I'm just going to dilute it. And that obviously impacts massively on the nutrition of the child, And thinking, the child is, that also makes, the child is not getting full from just the milk, and then they start introducing solids too early, before 6 months, which also is serious consequences for the nutrition of the child, and also for their future, impacting on their future health. They're most likely to get diabetes, most likely to be obese as adults because of losing out on breast milk in that first 6 months of their life, which load shedding, by virtue of making fridges not to work, is pushing us to. So yeah, there isn't any stage of life that load shedding is not impacting. And if the child starts with solids, the moms are not able to prepare the solids, and mothers would prepare fresh solids and store them in the fridge. And now they're being forced to buy much expensive canned foods, bottled foods with preservatives, because they can't afford to cook at home, put the food in the fridge or freezer so that they can have the meal ready for the child when they need it.
Yeah, and as a result, of course, not getting the kind of nutrition that you would get from fresh food, because we now depend so heavily on things like tinned goods. Doc, let me thank you for your time this morning. Dr. Edzani Mphaphuli is with Grow Great as we unpack yet another aspect of how load shedding has impacted our lives. Of course, insofar as this food discussion is concerned, the rising cost of food, given the pressure of farmers, is also part of this conversation.